Hey everybody, welcome to another World of Tanks match, this time in the Object 140 solo pubbing, and this is a good example of two things. First of all, how not to play a tier 10 medium from myself, and from the enemy TDs, why you do not let an enemy tier 10 medium get behind you. Sacred Valley is not exactly my favourite map. I preferred it before the changes, mostly because I was playing a lot of Centurion matches at that point. And the Centurion used to dominate the old version of Sacred Valley because it would just hold down at the top of the North Pass, which was of course the pivotal location on the map, still is, and would dominate the whole thing until the end of the match. With the changes to the northern end of the map, it's now not as viable. There's not really that many hold down spots, not good ones anyway, and the whole lot is a lot more open to arty. Plus, you can no longer get shots all the way across the map into the south end towards the cap and encounter, which is obviously a big plus for making the map a little less shitty to play for most people, but it just makes it not that fun, I think. It's not a very well designed map. First thing I run into is the T-57. Thankfully for me, he's looking at somebody else, so I'm able to pull in behind the terrain here, and it seems he's now on reload, so I have an idea he's got friends, and sure enough the Object 704 pops up right where I was pre-aiming, so I get a quick shot into him, but I am in a pretty risky spot now, in front of the 704 and with a 57 just around the corner. Of course there's bound to be other shit back there. The reason I did that quick poke was to see if I could spot any of it, but other than the 704, nothing is forthcoming. And at this point my teammates start milling around behind me. It seems like the enemy are trying to push in behind us. T-57 is shuffled back towards the guys still stuck coming up the ramp. I take a 704 shot right in the back, careless there, and then roll out in front of the E100. Somehow I'm allowed to get away with this. Very poor life decision there. I'm caught in front of an E100 and a T95, neither of them are able to hit me somehow. And I get back into my original position more or less safely. Snap off a shot where the 704 was, just to see if I can keep his head down for a minute while my team moves up. And I pull into cover and wait. The mediums are starting to flex back towards us to try and blunt our push, but the main obstacle to it is this guy, the 704, who is shooting at somebody to my left. Now, the 704's armor is basically irrelevant. It has been ever since the introduction of tier 10 mediums, possibly a bit earlier actually, but it does still have a scary gun, and it will still bounce you if you get a bad angle at it. In this case, I do something very stupid, give it a broadside shot, and I'm lucky it didn't rack me. Now with the 704 cowering and on reload, and the T28 slow, I decide I can afford to take a risk here. Put a shot at the T28, and before he can react, I'm behind him. Take a moving shot at his back. Instead of circling him, which would put me at risk of both him and the 704 hitting me, I continue downhill. Now, I wasn't 100% certain I was doing it successfully during the match because I didn't look behind me, but I was intending to use the terrain to mask my tank. Being low to the ground, the 140 is quite difficult to hit when it's running downhill. And sure enough, if we look back in the direction I came from, I'm totally masked by terrain. None of the guys back there can hit me. So the T95 goes down, with a fair bit of help from my teammates. And what looked like it was going to be an awful, shitty, embarrassing 1800 damage match in a tier 10 medium ends up being 3.5k. Simply because the enemy TDs weren't coordinated. They let me get in behind them, and in fact that part earlier in the match where I rolled out in front of the 95 and the E100, I am astonished neither of them were able to hit me, not even track me. Again, this is why you don't leave a medium alive. Even if it's low on hit points, it can still put out a lot of hurt very quickly, so you don't want it running around in your backfield. This is actually very similar to my first experience of the 140 on the test server when it was still being test it out before final addition to the game. I got this map, I got the west spawn, it was encounter, and I basically just blitzed straight through the map and murdered everybody and bounced or evaded pretty much every incoming shot. The 140 is quite good at it. It's not as bouncy as the 430, and its turret's not quite as strong as the T62's, but it overall has slightly better armor than the 62. It's more mobile, it's a bit lower to the ground. It's just a good combination, and it does, of course, have excellent camouflage, which goes a long way towards helping it as well. So it's a really good assault tank. The 430 is a better assault tank in terms of actually tanking damage, so if you're going to push against things and you don't want to lose tanks, you use the 430. But if you're planning on making shots on the move, the 430 obviously has serious problems in that area, and in that case the 140 is the better choice, having much better gun handling, pretty much on par with the T62s. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I wish you the best of luck in the field, and I'll see you on the next one.